Welcome to Natural History Nights. Today's episode tells the tale of Tamba, the African elephant. Lay back, close your eyes, and let Tamba's story help you drift into a peaceful sleep. In the heart of the Okavango Delta, northern Botswana, the floodplains shimmer beneath a high, pale sun. Channels of water wind slowly through grassland and woodland, bordered by broad canopied trees, camel thorns, and scattered palms. The ground is firm where dry, soft where soaked, and rich with life. Here, in this patchwork of wetland and savanna, a matriarch moves with quiet authority. Her name is Tamba. She is an adult African elephant, Loxodonta africana, and the leader of a herd that has lived in this region for decades. Tamba is the largest of her group, just over 3 meters tall at the shoulder and weighing nearly 5 tons. Her ears, broad and fan-shaped, twitch and fold as she walks, listening constantly. Her trunk moves almost continuously, touching, smelling, tasting, grasping. Every motion is deliberate and unhurried. Each day begins just after sunrise. The air is cooler in the early hours, and movement is easier. Tamba leads her herd out from a resting grove near a dry termite mound. She sets the pace, never rushing, but always steady. The morning is spent in search of food. Elephants are generalist herbivores. They consume grasses, leaves, bark, roots, and fruit, depending on the season and availability. A single adult elephant may eat over 120 kilograms of vegetation in one day. Tamba moves between feeding grounds she has known for years. She breaks branches from a mopani tree, strips the leaves with her trunk, and discards the twigs. Then she scrapes bark from an acacia, grinding it with thick molars. Her mouth is adapted to constant wear. Molars shift forward through life, and when the last set is worn down, feeding becomes difficult. The trunk, a fusion of the nose and upper lip, is a complex tool of over 40,000 muscles. Tamba uses it with precision. She plucks a clump of grass, shakes the dust free, and places it into her mouth. Then, without pause, she reaches for more. As she feeds, she walks. Elephants cover large areas each day, from 10 to 20 kilometers, depending on water and forage. Their stride is long, and the footfall almost silent. Each foot is cushioned by a pad of fibrous tissue that spreads under pressure, helping to carry their weight and absorb sound. By mid-morning, the sun rises higher and the heat intensifies. Tamba leads her herd to water. She remembers every path, every bend, every hidden pool. Memories formed over decades. The herd follows in single file. Younger females and juveniles walk close behind her. Their trust in her knowledge is instinctive. At the water's edge, Tamba drinks deeply. An elephant may consume up to 200 liters of water in a single day. She uses her trunk like a siphon, drawing up water and curling it into her mouth. She repeats the motion again and again. After drinking, she bathes. She kneels slightly and splashes her body. Water runs down her thick, wrinkled skin, skin up to 2.5 centimeters thick in places, though still sensitive to touch and temperature. Once wet, she scoops up damp mud and throws it over her back. The layer of mud serves as a natural sunscreen and insect repellent. By early afternoon, the herd becomes still. Elephants rest during the hottest part of the day. Some stand beneath the shade of trees. Others lie on their sides in the open, their eyes closing in half-sleep. Tamba stands quietly, her ears still moving. Occasionally she shifts her weight or flaps her ears to cool the blood in large surface vessels. Her breathing is slow, controlled. Elephants rarely sleep deeply during the day. They are alert to sound and scent, and Tamba is no exception. She may sleep for only 4 hours in total over a full 24 hours, and often that sleep is brief and fragmented. In the late afternoon, the herd resumes movement. The path arcs back toward another feeding area, this time near a seasonal pan where reeds grow densely. Tamba's tusks, curved extensions of her upper incisors, help her part the stems. Tusks grow throughout life and are used not only for foraging but for digging, stripping bark, and occasionally in social encounters. Tamba's tusks are long but uneven. The right is shorter, worn by decades of habitual use. This is common. Elephants often have a dominant tusk, used more frequently and worn more quickly. It's a detail that reveals individuality among these animals. As the sky darkens, activity slows. The herd gathers again beneath familiar trees. Elephants do not build nests or burrows, but they have regular resting areas. Tamba chooses the site and stands at the perimeter as she has every night for years. Here she remains still but aware. She listens to the distant calls of birds and the shifting of night breezes. Her trunk may reach out to check the scent of the wind or touch a nearby calf. Even at rest, she remains the guide. This daily rhythm, feeding, walking, drinking, resting, is not hurried. It has been shaped over millions of years. The African elephant is the largest land mammal alive today. It has few natural predators, but survival still depends on knowledge, strength, and endurance. Tamba is not young. She has lived nearly 4 decades. Her movements are less forceful than they once were, but they are confident and assured. Her position as matriarch is not one of dominance, but of memory. She remembers dry seasons and times of flood. She knows which trees bear fruit and when, which paths are safe and which are not. The herd thrives because she remembers. Night falls slowly across the delta. The calls of frogs rise from the water and nocturnal birds begin to move. The air cools. Tamba shifts her weight, one massive foot to another, and then stills. Today has passed, and her herd is safe. Years before, Tamba took her place at the head of the herd. She was born beneath the open sky of the Okavango Delta. Her birth occurred at night during the dry season. The ground was bare and warm, the stars low and bright. Her mother stood with legs braced, tail held to one side, as contractions came slowly, then all at once. The birth took hours, as it often does. When the calf finally emerged, it landed on the earth with a heavy thud. Wet, small, and unsteady, it lay motionless for several minutes. Then, with encouragement from her mother's trunk, she began to move. This was Tamba, a newborn female weighing around 100 kilos and standing barely a meter tall. Elephant calves are born with their eyes open and their trunk fully formed, but the trunk is not yet coordinated. In the first days, a calf may trip over its own trunk or swing it without purpose. It takes weeks before full control is established. Instead, the calf uses its mouth to suckle. The bond between mother and calf is immediate. Suckling begins within the first hour. Milk is rich in fat and nutrients, and the calf feeds frequently, every hour at first, then gradually less often. She grows quickly, gaining strength with each passing day. Tamba stayed close to her mother's side. The herd moved at a slower pace to accommodate her short stride. Other females in the group, often sisters or aunts, also help support the calf. Young females learn parenting skills by helping to raise calves that are not their own. The calf, in turn, benefits from constant attention and protection. For the first few months, Tamba relied entirely on milk, but by 6 months, she began to explore solid food. She would pick up grass and leaves, chew the ends, and mimic the feeding behavior of the adults. Though her digestion was not yet efficient, this practice helped develop muscle control and coordination. Weaning is a slow process. An elephant calf may continue to nurse for up to 4 years. Milk production remains high throughout this time, and mothers will often refuse to wean their young until the next pregnancy progresses. Elephants reproduce slowly. Females reach sexual maturity between 10 and 12 years of age, though they may not have their first calf until their late teens. Males mature later and often do not reproduce until they are in their 30s. The gestation period is the longest of any land mammal, around 22 months. When Tamba reached maturity, she began to experience estrus cycles. These occur roughly every 16 weeks and are marked by subtle behavioral cues. During this time, she may call more frequently, move restlessly, or attract the attention of males. Mating involves a dominant bull, often one in a heightened hormonal state known as must. This condition increases testosterone levels and is associated with heightened aggression and sexual activity. The bull will guard the female for several days, keeping other males at a distance. If she is receptive, mating occurs. Then he moves on, playing no further role. After mating, the early stages of pregnancy are not outwardly visible. Tamba continued to live as before, eating, walking, leading, but slowly her body changed. Her belly swelled. She moved more carefully, and nearly 2 years later she gave birth for the first time. She was young, not yet a matriarch, but old enough to draw from her own childhood experience. She chose a quiet site, separate from the group, but not far from their reach. She stood for hours in labour, rocking gently. When the calf was born, Tamba turned to touch it with her trunk, clearing the birth membranes and helping it to breathe. She rumbled softly. A low, infrasonic call felt more than heard. The calf stirred. It tried to stand, and after several failed attempts, it succeeded. Tamba remained still for the first feeding, her body providing both nourishment and shelter. She did not sleep. She did not eat. Her attention was complete. The next day she returned to the herd. The other females approached with caution, extending their trunks to touch and smell the calf. Once accepted, the group closed around the pair. Tamba had become a mother. The new calf, like all elephant calves, learned by imitation and guidance. Social learning plays a vital role in elephant development. Calves observe how to strip bark, where to drink, when to rest, and how to behave. They learn to follow the matriarch's lead and recognize the calls of their own group. Elephants communicate through a range of sounds: trumpets, rumbles, roars, and snorts, and through seismic vibrations. Tamba taught her young to respond to the signals of movement and caution. She taught them which members of the herd to follow and how to move in formation. Calves remain dependent for years. They are not fully weaned until around age 4, and not fully independent until 10 or more. Their brains, large even at birth, continue to grow and develop throughout this time. Elephants possess one of the most complex social structures in the animal kingdom. Mothers, daughters, aunts, and grandmothers all play a role in raising the young. Tamba's family grew. Over decades, she gave birth to multiple calves, most surviving into adulthood. Some daughters remained in the herd. Others left to form new groups. She became a grandmother. Her role shifted as she aged. Experience accumulated. When older females died, Tamba inherited the position of matriarch. It is not a role gained through conflict. It is earned through knowledge. She now leads with calm certainty, shaped by a lifetime of parenting, teaching, and remembering. Today, she moves through the same channels she once explored as a calf. She guides young mothers through their first births. She slows her pace for newborns. She allows calves to press against her side to feel the steady weight of her presence. Among elephants, learning does not end with weaning. It continues for life. And so, each generation builds upon the experience of those before. Through touch, movement, and sound, Tamba passes on what she knows, not in stories or symbols, but in action, in memory, and in the careful, deliberate way she guides her herd across the delta. The Okavango Delta lies in northern Botswana, a vast inland wetland shaped by seasonal floods. Water flows down from the highlands of Angola, travelling over 1,000 kilometres before spilling across the Kalahari Basin. By June, the flood waters reach their peak, creating a fan-shaped mosaic of islands, grasslands, forests, and channels. In the dry season, water recedes and leaves behind pools and floodplains that sustain life well into the year. This is where Tamba lives. Her movements follow a rhythm guided by the water. When the floodwaters arrive, she leads the herd toward higher ground where fruiting trees attract birds and primates. In the dry season, she returns to deeper pools, where reeds remain green and water is accessible. Elephants shape the landscape as they move through it. They are sometimes likened to ecological engineers. As Tamba feeds, she breaks branches, strips bark, and uproots small shrubs. Over time, this creates clearings, encourages new growth, and opens paths used by other species. Where she digs for water in dry riverbeds, she leaves behind shallow wells that are later used by warthogs, buffalo, and birds. When she knocks over trees, light reaches the forest floor, new plants emerge, and insects find fresh shelter. Though the impact appears destructive, it is part of the system. The delta has evolved alongside elephants. Their behavior helps maintain a balance between woodland and grassland. Elephants also disperse seeds. Some pass undigested through the gut, protected from digestion. Others fall and are carried on the soles of the feet. As Tamba travels, she spreads the seeds of marula, fig, baobab, and countless other plants. Her presence is felt even in her absence. Old pathways become game trails. Salt licks uncovered by her tusks are visited by other animals. Mud wallows she has churned become breeding sites for frogs. But this landscape is not untouched. Even in the relative safety of the Okavango, signs of human activity appear at the edges. Outside protected areas, habitat loss is widespread. Land once used for elephant migration has been converted to agriculture and grazing. Seasonal routes are disrupted by fences and roads. Corridors between parks grow narrow and fragmented. Tamba's ancestors once roamed across a continent. Today, most elephant populations are confined to pockets of protected land. Human settlements press in from all sides. Conflict arises where elephants and people meet. Crops attract elephants during the dry season, when wild food is scarce. Farmers defend their fields, and tensions grow. Poaching has also played a role. Ivory has long been traded and is still highly prized. Though international bans have reduced legal sales, illegal markets remain. Mature females like Tamba are sometimes targeted, disrupting the social structure of the herd. When a matriarch is lost, knowledge is lost with her. Botswana has taken steps to protect its elephants. Nearly a third of the country's land is under conservation management. The Okavango Delta itself is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Anti-poaching patrols, community-based tourism, and education campaigns all contribute to protection. Research is ongoing. Conservationists use aerial surveys, GPS collars, and dung analysis to track elephant numbers, movement, and health. By studying the needs of elephants like Tamba, they aim to manage ecosystems more effectively. Elephants are long-lived, with lifespans reaching 60 or 70 years in the wild. Their reproduction is slow, and recovery from population declines takes decades. Protecting each adult female is critical to the future of the species. Climate change presents a new challenge. Rainfall patterns are shifting. Floods may arrive earlier or later than expected. Droughts last longer. The delta cycles are less predictable than in the past. Tamba must adapt. In some years she moves her herd earlier. She delays water crossings in others. She tests dry channels for scent and softness, and listens for changes in the calls of birds that signal rising water. Her role as matriarch includes managing uncertainty. Despite these pressures, the Okavango remains one of Africa's most intact ecosystems. Over 130 species of mammals live here. More than 400 species of birds nest or pass through. Amphibians, reptiles, fish, and invertebrates all depend on its shifting habitats. Tamba's herd shares this space with Lechwe, Sesame, and Impala. At dusk, hippos emerge from the water to graze nearby. Crocodiles bask on the banks. African wild dogs pass in small groups, fast and silent. Fish eagles perch above the water, watching for movement. Some of these animals are seen only in passing. Others are encountered again and again. The elephants maintain a mental map of the landscape, including the presence of others. When lions call in the night, the herd tightens its formation. While adult elephants are not commonly preyed upon, calves are vulnerable. Tamba places herself between danger and the young, her ears spread wide, her trunk lifted to smell the wind. These responses are learned. They are passed down, not in language, but through observation and repetition. In this way, elephants learn not only from the environment, but from each other. In recent years, researchers have begun to study elephant culture. Distinctive behaviors, such as burial-like actions toward bones, specific greeting ceremonies, and unique migration routes, vary between groups. It is possible that each herd carries its own traditions. Tamba's herd, shaped by generations of movement through the delta, is one such culture. Their paths are old, their habits consistent. Even their resting sites show signs of long-term use, the soil packed, the trees worn, the scent familiar. The future of elephants depends not only on space and safety, but on memory. Without elders, without matriarchs, the next generation loses its map. Efforts to conserve elephants have increasingly focused on this idea. It is not just the species that must be saved, but the structure of the herd. A herd without leadership is disoriented and more likely to come into conflict with humans. Projects across southern Africa are working to protect migration routes, re-establish corridors, and engage local communities in conservation. In the Okavango, researchers have observed herds changing their patterns in response to both environmental and human pressure. Tamba continues to lead. She does not know the term conservation, but she follows the knowledge passed to her by those before. She listens to the ground. She watches the sky. She tests the edge of floodwaters and turns when the time is right. The delta remains, for now, a place where elephant memory and ecology still align. Tamba has seen many seasons, dry years and wet ones, times of plenty and times of strife. She has lost calves and raised daughters and sons. She has known the smell of smoke on the wind and the stillness of untouched woodland, and through it all, she has remained. Tamba does not mark the years, but she leaves her mark in the shape of the land, the rhythm of the herd, and the paths they follow. In this place, one of the last strongholds of her kind, her life continues, deliberate, patient, and enduring. Thank you for joining me tonight on Natural History Nights. For the rest of the hour, Enjoy the calming sounds of nature. Wherever you are, I hope the quiet rhythms of the natural world bring you a little peace as you drift off to sleep. From both of us, Tamba and me, rest well, sleep deeply, and until next time, good night.